Hi, welcome to Let Us Seek the Lord, where we are uh, reading through the scripture over a period of about 3.5 years. Each day I'm taking one chapter or maybe two and just reading it, then doing a short devotional on the end of it as to what I think the Lord might be saying, at least to me, through it. I'm glad you've decided to join us. So let's get busy reading today. By the way, if you want any more uh, written materials on this, you can get it by going to amazon.com/author/jcraigchat. Today's passage is Exodus 22, and I believe it should be March 11th. Exodus 22. If a man steals an ox or sheep, slaughters it, or sells it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox, 4 sheep for a sheep. If the thief is found breaking in and he's struck so that he dies, there'll be no guilt for his bloodshed. If the sun has risen on him, there shall be guilt for his bloodshed. He should make full restitution. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the theft is certainly found alive in his hand, whether it's an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall restore double. If a man causes a field or a vineyard to be grazed and lets loose his animal and feeds it in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns so that it stacked grain, standing grain, or the field is consumed, he who kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man delivers to his neighbor money or articles to keep for him, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall be brought out to the judges to see whether he has put his hand into his neighbor's goods. For any kind of trespass, whether it concerns an ox or a donkey, a sheep, clothing, or any kind of thing that's lost, a lost thing which another claims to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whoever the judges condemn shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man delivers to his neighbor a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any animal to keep, and it dies, is hurt, or driven away, no one seeing it, then an oath of the Lord shall be between them both, that he has not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept that, and he shall not make it good. But if in fact it is stolen from him, then he shall make restitution to the owner of it. If it's torn by pieces by a beast, then he shall bring it as evidence, and he shall not make good what was torn. If a man borrows anything from his neighbor, and it becomes injured or dies, the owner of it not being with it, he shall surely make it good. If the owner was with it, he shall not make it good. If it was hired, it came for its hire. If a man entices a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall surely pay the bride price for her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money according to the bride price of virgins. You should not permit a sorceress to live. Whoever lies with an animal shall surely be put to death. He who sacrifices to any god except the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. You shall neither mistreat a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you afflict them in any way, and they cry at all to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will become hot, and I'll kill you with the sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people who are poor among you, you should not be like a moneylender to him. You shall not charge him interest. If you have ever taken your neighbor's garment as a pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun goes down. For that is the only covering. It is his garment for his skin. What will he sleep in? And it will be that when he cries out to me, I will hear, for I am gracious. You shall not revile God, nor curse a ruler of your people. You shall not delay to offer the first of your ripe produce and your juices. The firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. Likewise you shall do with your oxen and your sheep. It shall be with its mother 7 days, and on the 8th day you shall give it to me. And you shall be holy men to me. You shall not eat meat torn by beasts in the field, but shall throw it to the dogs. You know, much is being said about our healthcare system today. No matter where you fall in the debate on healthcare and how much the government should be involved, one thing that we can all agree on is that in an ideal world, we'd want everyone to have equal access to healthcare. The problem is, we don't live in an ideal world. Matter of fact, in an ideal world, we wouldn't get sick, would we? But anyway, I just received my yearly Social Security statement, and I found out that from 1966 through 2024, I paid $41,720 in Medicare taxes. Now, when I was paying them, I grumbled a great deal. However, since I went on Medicare in 2020, I've had 2 hip replacements paid for by Medicare and my supplemental insurance company. Looking back on it, I got a good deal. We all want equal access to health care until it begins to reduce my pocketbook to the extent that I should have to lower my standard of living. You know, in those early days of paying Medicare taxes, I would have dearly loved to have had that money to spend on my house, my children, my wife. It's easier to talk about taxing those who make more than I do, rather than see it as my responsibility to help others. Numerous studies suggest that the more unequal the income distribution in a country, state, or city, the lower the life expectancies are for the people at all income levels. That's interesting. Some social commentators have suggested that having a greater income gap between rich and poor reduces the willingness of the rich to help. Well, duh. Isn't that human nature? They further argue that the higher the income gap, the less social cohesion exists in a community. This produces social isolation. And did you know that social isolation is known for being a health risk factor? Maybe we're approaching this all wrong. Rather than trying to solve the problem with government intervention by mandating certain economic interventions, maybe we should be focusing upon our hearts. What motivates a society to seek more social cohesion than economic and less economic disparity? I think the record shows that it's not government intervention that leads the way. Rather, it's government intervention that happens when the hearts of a large number of the governed are changed. How do we change our hearts? I think it only happens when we continually spend time gazing at the heart of God. How does gazing at the heart of God change us? Well, look at these verses in today's passage. Verse 5. I'm having a hard time reading this because the sun is shining in my eyes. But if a man comes to a field or a vineyard to be grazed, lets loose his animal, and it feeds to get another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best of his own field and from the best of his own vineyard. Seems like there's the quality that God promotes in our hearts there. You shall neither mistreat a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. There seems to be a care that God has for strangers. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you afflict them in any way and they cry out at all to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will become hot, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. Wow, God's really trying to communicate to us how much he cares about the widow and the orphan. If you lend money to any of my people who are poor among you, you shall not be like the moneylender to him. You shall not charge him interest. That's interesting. So that among people of God, there's to be some kind of care, love for each other, so much so that they would not charge interest. Several times in this passage, which deals with civil law, the principle of restitution is mentioned. What does that tell us about the Lord? Israel was not to oppress a stranger. What does that tell us about the heart of God? They were not to oppress a widow or an orphan, or his wrath would become hot. What does it tell us about the heart of God? They were not to lend money at interest to a fellow Israelite. What's that tell us about the heart of God? He is a God who desires that we live at peace with each other, loving each other. He desires that we live with justice and mercy towards each other. He has a special heart for the helpless. He's angry if we take advantage of the helpless. Isn't that glorious? Indeed, we serve a glorious King. Speak his glory to someone today.